number 7 top trend out of the 10 top trends for the next decade. And this is about populism. 2010s, the decade just gone by, populism surged. Populism of the left or the right. The votes of populist parties rose sharply, both left and right. Just have a look at it. Look at that graph over the years. There was an increase in the 1940s, just before the war, and then it's been flat, and then suddenly, 2018, the number of populist parties that are getting support, left and right, but probably more to the right in terms of support, has gone up very sharply.
Yeah.
It's a big change.
Right. And this is, sort of happened all of the last decade. More importantly, it is what's the impact of this?
Right.
That even if it peaks, it'll take a long time for things to normalize, as you can see. So I think that the impact that this is having on societies, on so many economic and political trends, that's what I find even more significant.
It'd be interesting, and I think the next bit of data shows the difference between left and right in this populism surge.
Right.
There's what Richard defines as increasing polarization in the world. The world is divided like never before. Polarization is deepening. Now, just look at the percentage support that any president in America has got from the opposition's base, meaning if you're a Democrat president, how many Republicans support you? And if you're a Republican president, how many Democrats supported you? Kennedy, who was a Democrat, 49% of Republicans ranked him favorably. If you look at Nixon, 34% of Democrats ranked him favorably even though he was a Republican. Look at Reagan, 31% of Democrats looked at him favorably. Look at Clinton, down to 27, so it's going 49, 30, going down. Clinton, 27% of Republicans looked at Clinton favorably. Look at Obama. People forget, Republicans could not stand him. 14%, only 14% of Republicans ranked him favorably. And look at Trump, now down to 6% of Democrats rank Trump favorably. That is a terrific trend downwards. Polarization. If you're a Democrat, I will not look at a Republican. If I'm a Republican, I will not look at a Democrat.
Yeah.
A divided country.
For the US, we have this great data, but I suspect this is exactly the trend worldwide.
Yes.
Possibly like in India as well.
Right.
That it's become such an ossification of the voter bases that it is so difficult to sort of get any crossover now.
Right.
And that's why even calling elections has become so difficult, including in the United States, that the favorite question that anybody asks today is who is going to win the election in November in the US. And I think the betting market sort of has it right. It says it's 50-50. If you look at the betting market, right? There's a marginal...
That sounds like you. Safe pay. Anybody else?
I've always said that.
50-50. Anything could happen.
Anything could happen.
But Bengali genes.
But in terms of, if you look at it here, which is that in America too, the polarization is such that just 4 to 5 battleground states in America are going to determine what's going to happen in the election.
And the rest are totally polarized.
And the rest have already decided. So if you do a tour of America to figure out what's going to happen in the elections...
Just go to those states,
Just go to these 4 to 5, and they're relatively small states. And 10 to 20,000 people, which way they switch in those 4 to 5 states is likely to determine the entire electoral outcome. So good luck to pollsters to find out who those...
Well, let's have a look at exactly what you're saying. In your next bit of data, you found that increased polarization of the society, a divided society, has actually also meant hardcore support increasing and therefore less volatility in your support base. Look at, for example, Trump's rating are lower than historically presidents have had, much lower, but they're stable. Historically, the support pattern for former presidents used to be up and down all over the place, but for Trump, much lower than that, but more or less flat. Republicans are not switching to Democrats, Democrats are not switching to Republicans. Easy for pollsters.
But see what, this is so significant that for other presidents, including Obama and before...
You're not using presidents as a pun, right?
Right.
Earlier.
In terms of the fact that it's that the swing in terms of the low approval rating and the high approval rating during their term would be about 30%.
Yeah.
When they were doing well,
Right.
60% approval ratings. When they're doing poorly, about 30% or so.
Right.
That's roughly
Huge
what the,
change, yeah.
what the sort of swing
As
would be.
people swung back and forth, yeah.
Swung back and forth, less and less so, but
Yeah.
they still swung back and
Yes.
forth. In Trump's case, his approval rating has literally moved in a range of plus minus 2-3 points.
Can you
of
imagine?
40%.
Yeah.
So no matter what's happening, you get impeachment trials, or you get the entire fuss which takes place, or what's happening on the border, anything can happen, and the approval rating moves by just 2 or 3%. It's as good as a dead man's heartbeat, this graph.
Amazing, actually. And based on that, the summary of point number 7, the trend number 7 out of the 10 trends, is as follows. The world is divided like never before, but this polarization likely to have peaked.
That data tells you that, which is that how much worse can polarization get?
Yeah.
When only 6% of Democrats are going to back a Republican president,
how much
and
more can you do?
91% of Republicans are going to just back whoever is their president.
Right.
How much can this rubber band stretch more? The spread is already down to just 6 points. And so I just feel that we could be at a stage where we see some move again towards rationality and centrism, but maybe that's an optimistic take. There's no sign of it so far.
Right.
But it just seems that
But
this
they
could also
may
mean
actually
revolt.
develop some common ground as people say, look, what are we fighting about in such extreme measures?
Yeah, and so little gets achieved then when you
Right.
sort of have that, because
Right.
you know that both sides are going to attack each other, or if they come to power, they're going to reverse each other's policies.
I just want to add, do you think a lot of this polarization is based on the most emotive emotion of hatred?
It could be that
Yeah.
in terms of it, but it's been progressing for the last 50 years. So I would like to believe there's one factor behind it, but I think this is something which we still haven't under. And of course, people
But
also
you
say
see the big drop in Obama and the increasing drop in Trump, and Trump is, a lot of it is based on hatred of immigrants, of different, not true Americans, etc.
Yeah.
And you see that in India as well.
yeah.
So this polarization, hatred helps polarization.
Yes, much more tribal loyalties possibly built first by television, then by social media.
By television?
So these are just factors that we can try and guess as to what's leading
It's not
to this
television, it's all
polarization.
gaming.
It's all
Okay.
gaming.
Gaming by politicians of a different kind.